Juventus are a team that used to dominate Serie A, but in the last 3 seasons they haven't even finished in the top 3 positions in the league, and this year, whilst they have done better, it looks like they won't be winning it again, with Inter Milan running away with the title. If things weren't already hard enough at Juve, they've got financial difficulties and an ageing squad that's going to need a lot of transfers to replace some of the key figures that will be leaving in the next few years. But obviously, I'm a specialist at this point in rebuilding clubs, so I'm going to take over as Juve manager and give myself 5 seasons to try and change the club's fortunes around. And they are a team that has some strong foundations, a big fan base and stadium, great facilities, and of course, they've got so many trophies in their past, 37 top division titles, 2 Champions Leagues. But if you know Juve, then you'll know that they've got a bit of a curse on them, because since 1996, they've had 5 Champions League finals and lost every single one. And whilst it will be a tricky job to rebuild the club, we do have some great players already, like Federico Chiesa, who is our star man at the age of 25, ready to hit his prime. According to FM, our second best player is Adrien Rabiot at the age of 28, considered a world-class midfielder. And we've also got our main striker, the big man Dusan Vlahovic, who we'll be hoping can score plenty for us. And there's players with potential too, like young Turkish international Kenan Yildiz. Fabio Moretti is a brilliant central midfielder, and we also have former Chelsea Academy product Samuel Illing Jr., who looks like he has a really bright future on the left. But as mentioned before, despite those good players, we do have a pretty ageing squad. Chesney's now 33, Alexandro's 32, Danio's 32, Deschilio is 30, Kostic 30, Perin 30, and that's not even counting the likes of Rabiot, Rugani and Milik, who are all over the age of 28. Obviously that's not too bad, but in a few years they aren't going to be good enough anymore to play at the highest level, so we need to start thinking about replacing some of these men that have been stars of Juve's team in the past. To do so, we have got 12 million, but £0 of wage budget, so we're going to need to adjust that to have any manoeuvrability in the transfer market. Despite that, we do have a pretty healthy balance of around 60 million, but there is something in the debts and loans, and I imagine with some of the wages we're paying to some of these guys at the club, if we don't get some success soon, that financial difficulty is only going to get worse. So, as mentioned, we've got 5 years at Juve to try and change things around. Fingers crossed we can deliver some trophies. I've got my Juve shirt on, but before we get started with the transfers, just want to ask you guys to do me a massive favour. If you could, just take a few seconds. I know you probably hear every YouTuber say it. If you could hit that like button, it really does help me and the channel in terms of growth and getting these videos out to more people. So thank you to anyone who does that. Comment down below what rebuild you want to see next. Every rebuild we do is based on your suggestions. And subscribe if you haven't as well. We've just recently hit 31k subs, which is awesome. We're going to keep pushing and eventually get to that grand target of 50k subs. So thank you to everyone. And the final thing, if you want to support me as a creator, I have a Patreon linked in the description. Over there, in return for supporting me, I offer out the save files for all of the rebuilds we do. Season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many seasons we do, you'll have a save file for each one that you can take over and give it a go yourself. See how you do. If you like the look of a save, I'd like to see if you can do a better job than I could. But with that being said, let's make some transfers and try and get this squad moving in the right direction. So, for the transfers, I wasn't really able to shift anyone on permanently, but we did manage to loan out 2 pretty big high earners. Firstly, Arkadiusz Milik has moved to Sporting Club de Portugal out in the Portuguese divisions. We're getting £1 million for the fee for the loan, and then he'll come back to us. He's just not someone that I think I'm going to use. I've got Vlahovic up front, I'm only doing a 1-striker system, and we've got Moise Kean as well, somewhere below him in the pecking order. So I just don't really see the point in having Milik on a lot of money a week, so we've decided to move him away. The same goes for Daniel Rugani, who's obviously been at Juve for a few years. He's been to France on loan before, and now he's going there again to Monaco. £1.2 million is the fee. We couldn't sell him permanently. His contract is up at the end of the year, so get some money from the loan, and then we'll let him go and get those wages back. And then coming in, we only made 1 transfer. It was very hard to do any business this summer because Juve have already done a lot of their business and already have a lot of transfers arranged in and out of the club as well. We've gone for Thales Magno here, the Brazilian 21-year-old joining us from New York City, supposedly going to be a very good fit for us in terms of his dynamic at the club. We do have some Brazilians, we needed some wing options as well to go alongside the likes of Timothy Weah, Chiesa, who we've got, Samuel Illing Jr. So Magno is in. Whether it's going to work out, I don't know. He's got good ability, good potential, isn't the world's most expensive signing either at 9 million, so I feel like it balances out in terms of what we're after in the transfer market. And with that being said, our team is now ready to go. We're going to be playing a 4-2-3-1 system, at least that's what we're going for right now. And our best 11 is supposedly Chesney, who again is an old player. We've got Danilo, an old player, Alexandro, an old player, Bremer, who is a very good centre-back option to introduce you to. We also have Rugani. Bremer, by the way, is wanted here by City and Real Madrid, so two of the world's biggest clubs want him. Rabiot you've seen, but McKinney actually looks pretty good in Football Manager. I was actually planning to sell him, but his attributes do look okay, so we're going to try and use him. We've got Chiesa on the right, Alcaraz through the middle on loan from Southampton. Not really a transfer that I think I'm going to want to make permanent. Kostic on the left, and then Milik, supposedly our best striker. Lots of good players on the bench, though, that I imagine will actually play more football than half of these on this list. So, with that being said, we're ready to go. In terms of the season preview, we were originally predicted third, and after our transfers, we've dropped to fourth. So, clearly I haven't done as good of a job as I thought I've done, or maybe the media are just getting it wrong. Predicted fourth, Inter, Milan, Napoli, all considered better than us, and our odds to win the league are pretty low at 15-2, so we're going to have to do something special. Either way, we're going to give it a go. Season 1, and then we can really get kicking off in our rebuild, sign our own players, sell the players we want to sell, and really get started. And well, it turns out the season preview was right, because we have finished in 4th spot as predicted. Fiorentina coming out of nowhere, getting 2nd, and AC Milan running away with the title with 93 points. We've done well to get 4th, but we're nowhere near the top 3 in terms of our points total. It was an okay season, but not great, and it's about where Juve are in my head in terms of the levels they're at. So we definitely need to make some transfers in the coming window, but let's take a look at who performed well, which players can we build around? Well, firstly, our best performer, probably not surprisingly, is Federico Chiesa, who's had a brilliant season, managing to score 19 goals and get 9 assists as well, so good from him. On top of that, Samuel Lilling Jr. did very well with 7 goals, McKinney with 9, Moise Kean with 7 goals, most of them off the bench, so a good performance from him. Vlahovic has managed to score 25 goals for us as well, so clearly we have a very good striker here. And then some good players sprinkled throughout the squad. Cambiasso has apparently been playing at left back. He looks like a half-decent player. Bremer doing okay. Locatelli doing well too. Overall, it's a balanced team. We still need a few more star players, I'd say. Chiesa doing well. Vlahovic doing well. Illing Jr. developing very nicely. Kenan Yildiz, the youngster, did get an opportunity. 33 games he played this year. Scored 8 and assisted 5, so well done to him. Some nice development there. Now, though, let's have a look. What budgets have we been blessed with? It's 50 million and about 100 grand in the wage budget, so we have got some manoeuvrability there. Financially, as mentioned, things aren't great. It's now gone down to a negative £30 million balance, and the net debt has gone up to 250 million. So things are only getting worse, and we do need some success and to sell some players on and be savvy in a transfer market if we want to make a success of ourselves here at Juve. I know Juve fans might want an instant turnaround and instant trophies. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we need a few years of rebuilding, but with that being said, we need to get started with it. So let's see who we sign and who we sell in Season 2. Okay, lots of transfers made both in and out. I think we spent 68 million, bought in 63 million, so we've tried to do pretty well in terms of balancing the books in the market. And our first sale to note is Danilo, the 33-year-old Brazilian right-back, who was out of contract fairly soon, quite old, still a good performer for us, mind you, but when a Saudi Arabian team come in and offer 24 million, rising to 30 for a low contract old player, we had to take it. He wanted to go, and you can see why. 900 grand a week or so isn't a bad paycheck at all for 2 years, is it? So goodbye to Danilo, and that's a lot of cash to reinvest in our squad. Even more money was added to the transfer pot by Al Nassr, who have offered 650k a week to 34-year-old Wojciech Szczesny. In return, they sent us 15 million, rising to 17. He wanted to go as he wanted a new challenge, but you know what that means. He's been offered 650k a week. He wanted it. But yeah, Szczesny is out. We needed a new goalie, so we had to invest in that in the transfer market. We also made £12.5 million selling Filip Kostic to Al Qadsiya, out again in Saudi Arabia. An older player, I wasn't too much of a fan of him, didn't do too great last year, so out he goes. Finally, Milik has left us to go join Al Shabab. He has joined for a fee of £11 million, a flat fee to Saudi. Good luck to him, but like I mentioned earlier, I don't feel like we needed him. And also pretty notable, but not a transfer we made, Alexandro, his contract expired, and now he's playing for Atletico Paranaense out in Brazil. So good luck to him, but that's another position we had to invest in. So let's talk about the incomings. Our new goalkeeper, or at least backup goalkeeper behind Perrin for our first year, if he's not considered good enough yet, is Marco Conecci here, who has cost us a few £1 million from Atalanta. Not too much, only 2.5 mil, so it's not going to be the worst transfer if it doesn't work out. I think eventually I'd want him to just be a backup goalie, but there wasn't really any really top level keepers on the market right now, so Carnesci is in, and we'll try and buy a new keeper later on down the line. Danilo has been replaced by Michael Kayode, who I believe is our most expensive transfer of the window. We splashed 32 million to pay a release clause fee for the youngster from Fiorentina, a very good right back with a lot of potential, a future Italian international I'm sure. Classed as a wonder kid in game, valued at about 80 to 90 million. I think we've got a gem on our hands, and if we didn't sign him, he'd do great for Fiorentina and then probably move for a huge fee to some other big club. So I think we've got in early. It is a lot of money, but it's pretty much what we made from selling Danilo. This is a Juventus transfer through and through, I think. Mario Hermoso joining on a free contract from Atletico de Madrid. He's played a full season for them as a starter, was let go, and we've picked him up as an option at both centre-back and also left-back he can apparently play. But obviously we haven't quite replaced that Bonucci-Chiellini partnership that was so good during that 2014, 15, 16 era. Hermoso I don't think fills their shoes at all, but hopefully he's a stopgap for a little bit until we can find that player. Mika Marmol is a new defender that we've got, another centre-back that can play left-back, again from the Spanish divisions, this time from Las Palmas. A former Barca player, went to Andorra, Gerard Piqué's club, and then got a move to Las Palmas where he's been pretty good. We spent 18.5 million. Our scouts recommended him highly. He's a good left-footed ball-playing defender, can also operate at left-back too, and I think he's a nice addition to the team. And our final transfer was Marcelino Nunez, the Chilean 24-year-old coming in from Norwich for a fee of 15 million, rising to 16. He was really good in the Championship last year, a very talented player who can play deep in the midfield as well as in one of those attacking midfield roles. So we didn't spend too much compared to what we sold. It was only a few £1 million extra, which is going to help the club long term, I think. And we have also freed up quite a lot of the wage budget, and our best 11 now looks almost completely different from what we saw last year. It's Perrin in goal with Kayode at right back, Gatti at centre back, an Italian 26-year-old, alongside Bremer. Cambiasso comes in as our best left back. We've got McKinney and Rabiot still holding that midfield with Chiesa, Yildiz through the middle, and then we have our man Samuel Illing Jr. on the left-hand side, now valued at about 80 million. He looks like a great piece of business that Juve have made in the last few years. In terms of the season preview, still predicted 4th, 8-1 odds to win the title. Inter, Napoli and AC Milan considered better clubs than us currently in terms of playing squad, but again, we'll try and prove them wrong. Financially, we now have 84 million pounds in the balance and only 130 million of debt. Only 134 million. That's because the monies came in for the new season and whatnot, so the books are looking a little bit better, and hopefully the team can also do a little bit better on the pitch to keep that money coming in, keep us in the Champions League and keep us as one of the biggest sides in Italy. And it's definitely progress this season, but not quite where we want to be just yet. We have finished in 2nd place, 89 points, 4 points below eventual winners AC Milan, who win it for the 2nd year in a row now, I think, in this Football Manager world. Obviously, Napoli won it in real life last, and now AC Milan have won it twice. We have finished in the top 3 for the first time in a while, which is great, and obviously we've got a much better points total. So things are definitely looking on the up, and it's something that we can take forward with our team, knowing that we are progressing. We just need to keep seeing that progression each year, and next year, really, we should have Serie A in the bag if we keep up this kind of growth. But we do want to win the Champions League. That's our eventual aim here in this rebuild with Juve. We went into the league phase and did okay there, just making it through in 23rd place. That put us into the knockout playoff round where we knocked out Bayer Leverkusen. That put us into the round of 16 where we lost against RB Salzburg, which is a pretty disappointing result. You would have thought that was one of the more favourable draws in the whole group. They then went on to play against Man City and knocked out Man City, so maybe I'm wrong. And then RB Salzburg only just lost to Bayern Munich, so fair play to them. Clearly, the Austrian team are absolutely smashing it, so maybe it wasn't the worst thing that we lost to them. But I think we can class that as a decent season. Nothing really to note in the Super Cup or the Italian Cup there, where we only made it to the quarterfinal. But in terms of good performers, we can hopefully learn from that and move forward. And it looks like we've got a much better range of goal scorers this year, which has really helped us. I mean, Moise Kean getting 20 goals, Nunez coming in his first year and getting 11. We've got Rabiot with 3, Fagioli with 6, Chiesa with 14, Yildiz with 7, Samuel Illing Jr. with 10, and Vlahovic with 37 goals. And that's not considering all the other goals that have been chipped in by the defenders and midfielders, but that's great to see. Our better season this year has led to us getting more of a transfer budget too, £73 million to spend in the coming window with £240,000 of wage budget. We're really starting to make this team our own as time goes on, and I think we're seeing the results of that. Bringing in some younger players, we're starting to see a much better balance of the squad in terms of ages, still some experience in there, but also a lot of youth too to try and build around. So I think we're doing a good job here. We've got some money to spend now going into our third season. We want to deliver some silverware soon, else the Juventus board might not be as patient as we want them to be. Last time I'll ask you, but don't forget, if you are enjoying these videos, to smash the like button and subscribe, because we do weekly Football Manager rebuilds here. But speaking of rebuilds, this transfer window, we have sold over £70 million worth of players and only spent £30 million. So we've actually worked on a transfer positive here, and I feel like we've done some pretty good business. The first sale is Adrien Rabiot, who I really like as a player. I think he's done a good job for us, but he's been offered 900 grand a week from Al Ahly out in Saudi Arabia, who sent us 56 million quid for him, rising to 72. As good as he's been, you can't reject that for a 30-year-old of his kind of level. He's still a very good player, but that is a lot of money that we can now put into our team, reinvest it. So Rabiot goes. It is a shame to lose him, but it is what it is. A transfer that I didn't do, Nicola Rovella has been at Lazio for the last few years on loan, and now that's been made permanent. So just to let you know, I didn't actively choose not to use Rovella. He's just never been an option. The same goes for Luca Pellegrini, who is also now a Lazio player after a free season loan. £3.4 million is the fee for him. I've moved on to Thiago Djalo, who I think is a very good player in real life from what I've seen of him, but here he just never really played at all, isn't ranked very highly in FM, and he's moved for 1.3 million to Marseille. And then we get to the incomings, where we haven't spent too much, but I think we've picked up some bargains to help us in terms of our squad depth. We've got the Mexican 25-year-old central defender Israel Reyes, who joins us from Club America for 5.75 million. A very good year last year, caught the eye of our scouts. A good ball-playing defender who's also good in the tackle, can head the ball well despite his small frame and stature. I feel like for 5 million, he is a good pickup as a squad-level centre-back. We've also brought in a backup right-back to deputise for Michael Cayode, and that is Pedro Malheiro here, who joins us from Boa Vista on a free deal. He's been fantastic out in Portugal, available as a free agent, and again, bit of a no-brainer. We've got a new left-back to compete in that position with our man Cambiasso. This is Bradley Locco, a 23-year-old Frenchman who I've never seen before, but he was doing pretty well at Brest out in Ligue 1, and that caught the eyes of our scouts. We sent £13 million their way, and we now have a French under-21 left-back with good ability and a bit of potential to get better too. And speaking of potential, our final transfer was 22-year-old Croatian international Martin Batrina, who joins us for 16 million. That rises to 23. He's joining from Dinamo Zagreb out in Croatia after some great seasons for them. A creator who can score goals, he can play as a central midfielder or maybe in that shadow striker role. And that was our transfers done. Now, we didn't outright replace Rabiot, and that's because I feel like we need to give some opportunities to younger players like Fagioli, like Moretti, give them a chance in the central midfield areas. But you can see our team is quite a young one now. We've had some players develop. Carnecci is now considered our best goalkeeper. Again, I did look for a new goalie, but I couldn't really find anyone that suited what I wanted for the right price. So we're going to keep it as it is, a nice young forward line with some great ability all around. Yildiz continuing to get better and better in that position, as is Samuel Ling Jr. Mika Marmol has also joined the best 11 alongside Bremer. Again, that's a position where I still feel like we need to invest and sign some real world-class talent. But I'm not trying to be stupid on the transfer market. Personally, I feel like Juve have made some weird transfers. Here he is, Artur. That was a weird one. Was it him where he switched with Pjanic or something like that to Barcelona? All very strange. Either way, we've got a good team, a good bench, and I feel like that should at least put us as the third place predicted team this year. It hasn't. We're 17-2, fourth place predicted. Clearly they don't rate our transfers at all. AC Milan have won it for the last 2 years, and we need to hope we can do something to stop them winning it in season 3. Now, this season we had our first chance of a trophy because we did pretty well in the Italian Cup, making it to a final against Napoli, and very early on we got an opportunity in the 4th minute through Bacerina. He played the ball to Fagioli, and Fagioli hit a brilliant strike from long range to beat Capriel and put us 1-0 up. Now from there it felt like we might have a chance to win it. We went all the way until the 60th minute before Napoli went forward, and it was a former wonder kid, or probably still a wonder kid at this point, Jason Van Duyven, who tapped the ball into the back of the net for them. And then we went into extra time, and after a very tense period, in the 120th minute of all times, the ball fell to Kvaratskhelia, and an unfortunate deflection put the ball in, and that meant we lost the Italian Cup final, and we did not win that this year. And I'd like to say we won something else, but we didn't. We got knocked out in a knockout playoff round by Bayer Leverkusen, who I believe we beat in that stage of the competition last year, so maybe that's a backward step for us. And we only got 68 points in the league, 11 draws. That's 30 points away from the eventual winners, AC Milan, so we really are falling behind the curve here. And actually, if I was the board at Juve, I would probably sack me here as manager at this stage. 3 years in, haven't really done too much, maybe sold some key players along the way for a lot of money to Saudi, and it looks like the incomings maybe haven't done the job that we'd want them to do. Runners up in loads of competitions, continuing the Juve theme, and yeah, just not been a great season for us. This is the first time where I'm a little bit stumped in the rebuild, particularly with a team like Juve, where, to be honest, I thought we were going to win the Serie A after a couple of years and then focus on the Champions League, but we're nowhere near it yet. And if we have a look at our best performers, there's not too many players we can really say are untouchables. I mean, Yildiz has been very good and continues to get better, as did Chiesa, who nearly exited at the end of his contract, by the way. Wasn't willing to extend because of the interest shown in him, but we managed to get a deal over the line towards the end of the year. Bacciarina did have a good first season. Matthias Sewell, the Argentinian, has done well when called upon, but outside of that, things haven't been as good. Samuel Lilling wasn't as good this season. If we try and find Dusan Vlahovic as well, he scored 23 but had worse performances on the pitch than before, so it hasn't been the best year. Maybe me being so cautious in the transfer market, not really signing any big players, has hurt us, but going forward, the board have given us one last chance by the looks of it. £98 million for season 4, 122 grand of wage budget. We're only at a C+ currently because they only do want us to qualify for the Champions League, so it looks like we're going to be okay. If we have a look, they do want us to start winning the Serie A title in a few years. So we need to start working towards that goal. We need some big incomings. We need to sell some players on and really improve this Juventus side before it's too late. Now, there's a lot of transfers to get through in this window, so I'm going to try and speed along with them pretty quickly. Firstly, Andrea Cambiasso wanted to leave the club, so he has gone to Atalanta for £15 million, rising to 17.5. Good luck to him, a great player, but we've moved on. We pretty much made our money back for Marcelino Nunez, selling for just less than what we bought him for, but it could rise to a little bit more than what we signed him for. He's gone to Alcodzea after a less impactful season last time round. Weston McKennie also moves to Saudi for 11 million. Israel Reyes was only with us for a year before moving to Damac out in Saudi Arabia for about double the fee that we spent on him. Federico Gatti has also gone to Saudi for just under 10. Timothy Weah to Feyenoord for about 4 million. Mattia Perrin said he wanted to move on, so he left for 3 million. Hermoso also left for about 1 million quid. And finally, Tales Magno has moved to Osasuna in Spain, 1.1 million. A big waste of money really, never really performed for us, and probably our biggest failure yet. Incomings wise though, I think we've done really well. We spent over 100 million. The first transfer was Victor Guzman, who was signed at the age of 24 for us from CF Monterrey for 9.75 million after a great few seasons for them. Interestingly enough, he's just signed but is already wanted by PSG, so fingers crossed we've made a good bit of business here, and he comes in as an option at centre-back. A bit of a weird one, but hear me out, and I'll probably put him as the thumbnail player as well because he's such a recognisable face. But Anthony, the Brazilian from Manchester United, has signed for Juventus. This is a deal I can see happen in real life at some point, but he's been good in the FM world, really good actually, but was transfer listed by United for 21.5 million. I think he's exactly what we need on the right-hand side, a left footer that can cut in, and whilst I don't really like him in real life in terms of his style of play or anything, we're going to go for it. He's got good work rate, good technique, on paper, should be a very good player for us, so fingers crossed it works out. We've got a new left-back to replace Cambiasso. This is Quinladishi Hartman, who I'm just going to call Hartman because I don't want to try and pronounce that again. He's a 24-year-old international for the Netherlands, which tells us everything about his quality. He's cost us 30 mil from Feyenoord, rising to 32.5, and you can see why. Had 3 great seasons for them and comes in as our first choice left back. I think we finally replaced Rabiot too because Eduardo Bova's joined us here, a 24-year-old coming in from Roma where he's been good for 3 seasons. 30 million is a lot, but he was one of the highest rated players from our scouts. A workhorse in the midfield, very good going forward and defensively too. I feel like we might have a real good player here who's not even in his prime yet at the age of 24. And with Perrin leaving, Koneshi has dropped to a backup goalkeeper and we have found the man that we want to be our number one. It's Guillaume Restes, the 21-year-old French international already at such a young age, tells you everything you need to know about his quality. Comes in from Toulouse where he's been fantastic, particularly in the second division last year where he had a 7.87 match rating £42 million rising to 44.5. It's a lot of money, but hopefully we won't have to invest in that position again for another 10 years. So I think he's a massive improvement, and that was our transfers done for season 4. Remember, we need some big improvement this year after what happened in season 3. And in terms of the team we've got, I think we've at least got off to a good start because we've got a very good squad, lots of great bench players as well, some real stars in there that could be game changers for us going forward. And if we now have a look at the season preview, we are third. We've actually moved up a little bit. We're above Napoli, 7-1 title favourites, but AC Milan are right at the top there with Xavi as their manager, 13-8 odds for them, pretty much guaranteed to win the title, but we'll do our best to stop them going into our 4th year, only 2 years left now, and we haven't won a single trophy. And once again, we made a cup final. Not the Italian Cup this time. Instead, it was the Italian Super Cup. I'm not sure how much this matters to Italian fans, but we were in the final against Napoli, and we scored in the 56th minute. Sula playing it to back post to Illing Jr., who headed it in, and that was it. We won the trophy, and the Super Cup was ours. But that wasn't the only cup final we won, because in the Champions League, we qualified for the knockout rounds, faced off against Napoli, and beat them. We then faced off against Celta Vigo in the quarterfinals, and beat them. Liverpool in the semis, and we knocked them out too, setting up a grand final against PSG. Now, we know Juve have struggled in Champions League finals in the past, and we thought that might be the case again, because after 3 minutes, Ousmane Dembele scored a goal. But in the 11th minute, we retaliated through Federico Chiesa, finding the bottom corner past fellow countryman Gianluigi Donnarumma in goal, and then in the 30th minute, another corner led to a chance with Vlahovic picking the ball up, finding Chiesa, who found Illing Jr., who got to the byline and somehow threaded it past Donnarumma to make it 2-1. At this point, of course, we were in the lead, but in the 55th minute, PSG weren't going to rest. In a team that featured the likes of Vinicius Jr., he managed to steal the ball back in the box, managed to squeeze it away, and it looks like set pieces were the way to go in this game. And then at 2-2, things fell apart because Michael Kayode at right back got sent off for a double yellow in the Champions League final, and we were down to 10 men against the best team in the world. But in the 90th minute, the ball fell nicely to Chiesa on the edge of the box, who found Illing Jr. The ball got knocked around, and it eventually fell back to Illing Jr., who somehow found the bottom corner, and with 10 men, we managed to win the Champions League for the first time in Juve's history since 1996. So that's 2 trophies delivered this year, the Champions League and the Super Cup, and still though, we have not delivered the Serie A title. We did actually go right to the wire, getting very close to AC Milan this time round, only 1 point away from the eventual winners, 6 goal difference better than them, so we were very unfortunate that that didn't take place, but fair play. I think we'd rather take the Champions League than a Serie A title win, but I think that's AC Milan winning it in all 4 seasons so far since we've done this rebuild, so they are a real force under Xavi. Chiesa was back on form this year, as was Illing Jr. and Yildiz, 3 very key players for us. Bacciarina also scoring 12. Anthony was not a failed transfer because he came in, won the Champions League, contributed 10 goals across the course of the season, and had a good average match rating, so he's found his feet here. Restes with a good first year, Vlahovic obviously being our main man up top and scoring tons of goals. Fagioli, Moise Kean all contributing as well. Things are definitely looking up for Juventus, and now that we've won the Champions League, I really think my only aim is to win Serie A in this last season, and I'll consider it a success in terms of rebuilding the club, winning the UCL, and now hopefully trying to win a Serie A title. If we don't win that, it's a bit more up in the air about whether we did a good job here, but fingers crossed we can deliver it because we are clearly improving, and we've got £86 million to spend, 200 grand of wage budget. The club is on the up. We've been working on the facilities as well. We've got a 5-star reputation, and in case you're wondering, financially, £130 million in the balance, £57 million of debt. We're getting better in that department, so let's keep it up one more season. Let's see what we can do with Juventus. Firstly, it's time to say goodbye to Bremer, who has joined Atletico Madrid. We obviously took Hermoso off them in our first or second season, and now we've given them Bremer almost as a thank you for letting us have him. He's been really good for us, but has played less and less as the years have gone by. £23 million for a 30-year-old. We'll buy someone new with that money. Coming in was Enzo Palmieri, who is a young Argentinian international, age 20 new gen that the game has spawned in. A nice defender. He's going to be a squad option coming in from Vélez for about 10 million after some good years for them. Our real replacement replacement for Bremer though is Thomas Araujo, who comes in as probably our best centre-back now. 25 years of age, heading into his prime, valued at 50 million. We bought him for 30 from Benfica, where he's been fantastic for the 4 seasons that we've done so far. He's been attracting a lot of interest from big clubs, but we managed to get in there and sign ourselves a very good defender. But our final signing of this rebuild, and probably our best one of all, is João Neves of Benfica yet again. We sent him some money, £60 million in fact, rising to 65 for the fantastic midfielder who's got better and better as the years have gone by. He's a brilliant player now at the age of 22, a workhorse, and really is a Rabiot replacement now in the midfield. Does everything that you think he would do, and probably more as well. Can play further forward if needed, and I feel like we've really created a great team here with some star players set up for the future. He's already considered a world-class midfielder, by the way. If we now have a look at our best 11 to finish off, it's Restes in goal, a young player, Coyote at right back, who's developed a little bit, but maybe not as much as we would have wanted. Still an Italian international, 23 years of age. Araujo, Mika Marmol and Hartmann at the back. Defence is maybe the only area that we could have improved a little more on. João Neves and Locatelli in the midfield, and then our unreal attack of Samuel Lilling, Federico Chiesa, and then our main man up top, who we've never had to replace, never had any transfer interest in, Dusan Vlahovic, who continues to score goal after goal for us and really help us towards our title push. And if we have a look now, where are we considered? Second. Okay, we are actually considered second place. 11-4 odds of winning the title. AC Milan are still favourites, but we'll do everything we can to stop them winning that trophy. So let's see what we can do in our 5th and final season as Juve boss. Now this year we got another crack at the Italian Cup that we lost in the final to Napoli a few years ago, and we got off to a very bright start in the 32nd minute. Chiesa went down the right hand side. This was against AC Milan, by the way, and Yildiz headed it home to put us 1-0 up. AC Milan retaliated very quickly though, Kjaergaard rising highest from a corner and heading it past Restes to make it 1-1, and they kept coming because in the 54th minute Torres went forward down the right hand side for AC Milan, got to the byline and pulled one back for Benassa, who made it 2-1. At that stage things weren't going great, but then AC Milan got a red card and were down to 10 men. And only 2 minutes later, João Neves found his way down the left, played it to Moise Kean, who couldn't quite score, but the ball came out to Anthony, who worked hard to pick it up, lay it back off to Fagioli, who made it 2-2, and now we had 30 minutes to score against a 10-man AC Milan team. Fagioli then, in the 76th, bagged the penalty, made it 3-2, and we won the Italian Cup. And in the league, we had a very good season, winning lots of games, and we actually finished joint on points with AC Milan. Now, even though we beat AC Milan home and away and had better goal difference, because we had joint points with them, we actually had to go into some kind of playoff competition where we had to face Milan twice, home and away, and whoever came out as the aggregate winner would get the Serie A title. And for the first leg, we were at home and got off to a bright start from Moise Kean in the 12th minute, putting us 1-0 up. Then in the 22nd minute, a corner came out to Anthony on the edge of the box. He found Illing Jr., who managed to get a shot away and beat Magnan from a close angle, which seems to be his specialty. But obviously Milan have won the title for the last 4 years, and they prove why, because in the 32nd minute they did not give up. Konate found Endrick of all people, who managed to score from 2 yards to make it 2-1. And then our heads seemed to drop because in the 41st minute Dedic had the ball on the edge of the area, played it around for a little bit and played a brilliant cross through to Giovanni Reina, who made it 2-2 with a very good header. And only a few seconds later AC Milan went forward again through Dedic on the right hand side, found Konate in the middle, fell to Reina, and a very poor spill from Restes. That led to Milan going 3-2 up at our home stadium. In the 48th though, straight into the second half, we came out firing from the halftime team talk. Anthony scoring a brilliant shot worth that £21 million alone that we paid for him to make it 3-3. And remember, this was only the first leg of this tie, but then in the 67th minute, Konate found his way through, and even though it was our home leg, we ended up losing 4-3 after that goal. That meant we were heading to the San Siro knowing a draw wouldn't be good enough. We had to beat AC Milan, and in the 3rd minute we got off to the best start possible. A guy called Faku scored, and I have no clue who that even is, but we don't care because he scored the goal. Then Loco got down the left in the 39th minute, a very weird take from the goalkeeper, found Anthony in the box, who laid off Bacciarina, and a brilliant finish put us in an aggregate lead now, 5-4, with only half a game to go to try and win this title. And we managed to seal the deal in the 67th minute through Anthony to to Fagioli, found Moise Kean, who's been with us since the start. He put it past the goalkeeper, and that meant it was 6-4 on aggregate, and we had won the Serie A title. Oh, and just so you know, by the way, I had a look. The guy that scored the goal, Facu, is Facundo Gonzalez, who's been here since the start, apparently. He's played pretty much only for our development team, where he's been pretty good for them, but never really had an opportunity in the first 11. But clearly he took his chance well. We were runners-up in the Super Cup and the UEFA Super Cup, and the Champions League, we got knocked out in the semis by Barcelona, who eventually lost to Liverpool. It was a 3-2 loss in the semi-final. Quarter-final, we knocked out Inter Milan 4-1, which would have been very sweet, and Chelsea along the way too. So we did have a pretty good season overall. We managed to win the Serie A title. We won the Champions League. We delivered some trophies. I feel like we have built a squad that's going to get some lasting success as well, with a lot of youth in there. We've got £100 million in the balance, £76 million in the debts. Not too bad. We've managed to do a pretty good job here under the circumstances. Hopefully you have enjoyed. If you have, smash the like button for us, and I'll see you in the next rebuild. Thank you, and goodbye.